Hey, this is SoCo guy out here in southern Colorado, and today I want to talk about some misconceptions about heating with wood, and a lot of it depends on where you live. And that's my old dog Monty wanting some attention. But I came from southern Indiana, and I always heated with wood my whole life. We burnt elm, hickory, oak, all the hardwoods, and pretty happy with the heat that they put out. But when we moved out here, we found out it was a whole different ball game. Pine back east would have been a joke to laugh about. Out west here, we burn typically pinyon pine and cedar, and so wood grows a lot slower out west than it does out east, and so the grain is a lot finer. It's a lot harder wood, and no, mommy, I'm not going to play with you. And it doesn't have as much moisture in it. It draws a lot of resin, and it really puts out the heat, unlike eastern woods. It's amazing how good it does for softwoods. So there's no residue either. That's one thing that most people aren't aware of. Back where I came from, we would make sure to clean out the creosote out of the chimney pipe at least twice a year. It would develop crust in there. I've been out here 10 years and inspected this pipe several times, and it's never had any creosote buildup on it, never. So that's where some of the differences in opinions come into play as far as, well, should I get a wood stove with a catalytic converter or not? I heard that they clog up. Well, out west here, a catalytic converter, I know people that have gone 10 years and never noticed any residue on their catalytic converters. Back east, they'll clog up in a year or two if you're lucky. So there's a lot of differences between east and west. This heat is amazing that the cedar and pinyon put out here. This stove here is not a special stove. It's a typical box store brand variety. I think it's called a Timberwolf, and it does have the electric fan in the back of it, which I never use. The stove's about 300 degrees now. It's usually 300 to 500 degrees, and heats our whole house. We've got a little less than 2,000 square feet here with a basement, half basement, and so it does a great job. But that's one thing that, you know, is a confusion to some people, why something works one place and it doesn't another. Another big aspect that was very important, that was an amazing difference out here, is where I came from, you could stack wood on the ground, and about 2 years is about all you get out of it. It'd start turning to mush and rotting away. And if you've looked at my previous videos, you would have noticed in one of them I mound my piles of wood up out here, you know, 10, 15 feet tall, and stack them tight as I can get them. And I would bet probably if I went back to these wood piles 30 years later, most of them would be just fine. So wood out here just doesn't rot, and that's just an awesome thing. A couple things that make it really efficient for our home is, notice our stovepipe has little slots at the base, and that allows cooler air to enter in and go along the pipe and come back out as it's warmed by the exhaust heat at the top. So that's a great flue system. We do get some heat out of that, but the biggest factor that helps us here at our house is, you'll notice this this air vent up here at the top of our crown of our ceiling. Well, heat goes up, sure enough, and so my thermostat is set to where it will come on every 20 minutes for 5 minutes and circulate air through the blower system around the house. So it's just about as warm in the back of the house as it is in the front of the house, because I capture all this heat and off the ceiling, and I duct it all the way underneath the house and around through the entire duct system. And so very rarely does my furnace ever come on. In fact, my propane, I have a standard high efficiency gas furnace, and my propane bill is about $50 a year for all of my heat. And that's, you know, days when we're gone or forget to put wood in, what have you. Show you just about how much wood I burn every year. That's the rest of my pile out there. And back east, it's what we would have called 4 ricks of wood, and here it's about 2 cords worth of wood, and that's about all I burn for the entire year. And back in Indiana, it would be probably 3 times that amount to heat the same space, and that's great. A big part of that is because we have a lot of solar gain here. I've got too many windows. The sun just boils everything out west here. So you really don't need as much. There's not moisture in the air, so you don't have that perception of feeling cold. I was out there this morning at 6 in the morning, and it was almost 0 in a t-shirt. And you know, as long as you're only out there for a couple of minutes, you just don't even feel the cold. So it's a big difference. It's been a very cold winter this winter. It was not over -4 degrees yesterday here, which is really cold for southern Colorado. Doesn't happen too often. We get 70-degree days in January sometimes. So much like New Mexico, northern New Mexico here. The only thing I wish that I had done a little different with my setup here is I have a clean out pan on the bottom, which is fine, but you have to remove a block, and a shaker type grate system would be ideal, because it's really a pain getting the ashes out of there. So other than that, this is a good setup, good basic wood stove, but those are a few things that can impact the difference between eastern wood and western wood, catalytic converters or not. This system here reburns the gases. If you notice here on the top of the stove, you'll see where there's a little bit of trickle coming out, and that's reburning some of the gas. So it's a little better system than just a box. But it really doesn't have to be. If you put everything into perspective and think of all the little things that add up. Better let Monty in. Come on, Mom. Then you can have a pretty good system. Isn't that right? Yeah, that's right. He didn't think much of cameras. So anyhow, like I was saying, a lot of it depends on where you live, the type of wood you're burning, and your system as a whole, how it's set up. So I think this system works really effectively. Very pleased with it, and I think probably the biggest contributor to comfort in the whole house is my furnace system here. So yeah, my vent's a little dirty up there, but anyhow, it's a good way to go. So thanks for listening. Hope that helps you with your heating issues and concerns, and maybe if you're designing a new house and you can take advantage of a peaked roof like this and capture all that heat and duct it back down through your furnace system, and then a thermostat that will allow you to turn the fan on and circulate air through it, then that's a pretty good way to go if you can. And oh, and one more note, in the summer we reverse the process. These vents up here, I don't need any heat out of, the registers, that is. So we have those turned off in the winter. And then in the summer, we take that air that we're now blowing downstairs into the basement, the warm air, and letting it come back up. We reverse the process so that that cool air that's down there gets drawn up and blown from the top down. So if you can do that with a furnace HVAC system, you're miles ahead of yourself.